All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Tiny But Mighty podcast. I am your humble host, E, the founder of Main Street E-Market. Sorry, backwards, always in the wrong spot. We focus on small businesses exclusively, always on this podcast. And I am thrilled for you to be with us for episode, it says 8, but I think this is actually 10 with Sara Busone of Twisted Designs. You are going to want to stick around to find out about a hidden little talent and special something about her later on in the show. But first, we will dive into her small business that was created out of a passion project from the pandemic that's kind of taken on a life of its own. Her art medium is unique, different materials that she puts into wreaths and centerpieces that are sure to create talking points for any gathering that you have, whether it's at your home or you want to put something in for a bigger gathering like a wedding or something. We'll talk more about that. I'm going to bring her up now. Thank you so much. Let's welcome her to the stage.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. All right, let me just turn up my volume. I want to make sure I can hear you well. Okay, perfect. Okay. So to get us started, what brought you to the point of having this business? Tell us a little bit about yourself before becoming a business owner.
Well, my life before my design business was a series of temp work, working in offices, things like that, trying to find myself. I went back to school in my 30s and I was an esthetician for most of my 30s. I enjoyed creating experiences for people. I enjoyed the spa atmosphere. I was at the time very passionate about skin. And then I don't know if you heard of this thing called COVID-19 came along and put me in a pivot in a completely different direction. And it wound up being the gateway to making a lot of my private secret dreams come true. So it was a very different path leading to what I do now. But it taught me a lot.
I love it. That's awesome. But it sounds like making things beautiful and people feel good is a tie between those and what you're doing now.
Absolutely. I've noticed that, they always say hindsight is clearer. Looking back, I can see the correlation. Just very different medium, very different environment, but a little bit of performance as well, which I've taken into my current role now. I used to be a makeup artist as well, and you learn a lot about working with people, working with events, and again, the whole creating a beautiful atmosphere, all of that. Definitely parallels.
Awesome. Awesome. So when you were 7, what did you want to be when you grew up? And is it anywhere near close to this?
That's a very good question. When I was 7, I wanted to be a writer. That was my dream. I wanted to be the next female J.D. Salinger. I really was focused on the written word. I always wanted to be an artist, but I couldn't draw or paint. I'm very good at stick figures and doodles. I'm the doodle queen, but I didn't have a medium. I didn't have a vehicle for visual art. So I tried to use language, which is a whole different kind of art, but there are definite parallels. But that was what I wanted to be when I grow up.
Awesome. Do you think you ever will write something?
I would love to. I would love to. I took the pressure off myself. I wound up having writer's block when I was a teenager, and I went to college for English. But I definitely would like to tie that back in whenever I do grow up. I would like to tie that back in.
Awesome. Yeah. I always ask that question. And then when somebody asks me that question, I'm like, I'll let you know when I get there.
Exactly. Exactly.
So your business officially started when?
2022, January 27th. I remember going and getting my DBA very, very clearly. I was very, very excited. I toyed with the idea during the pandemic. I began making wreaths, and then I just started getting feedback from people, seeing if there was interest, seeing if that was something I really wanted to pursue for sure. And by 2022, I said, "New year, let's get started," and I jumped right in.
That is awesome. So, in terms of the start of it, getting the idea of the wreaths, you've come all the way to the point where now you're teaching classes for people to be able to make their own wreaths. How has the business transformed over the course of the past 2 years?
More community involvement than I had realized, which I love. The workshops are fun. I like seeing people bring out their inner artist. I was kind of toying with the idea of like a wreath and sip or something like that. So I started offering them in December of 2022. Christmas being a big wreath season.
Yeah.
And everyone just had a great time, all ages, children, all different walks of life. People, wanted to make their own Christmas decorations, their own Christmas decor, take a little time out for themselves. And I said, hey, we could do this year round. It doesn't just have to be a Christmas thing. Spring wreaths, Mother's Day, fall, autumn, just things to bring people together. Maybe they want to go out with their mom, their friend. They can bring their kid as long as they supervise them with the scissors, please. And please watch your kids. But just a lot of fun, a lot of just involving people in the community. I started doing it through the mercantile stores that I'm in currently. So that gave people the opportunity not only to try their hand at wreath making, but also to check out these stores and check out the other vendors and just see what's out there in the community and small business. And it's a lot of fun.
I love that. And honestly, that being the model that you're using in terms of the space in those brick and mortars, I've really come to be pretty fascinated with the idea of having a building, having multiple small businesses represented inside of it. I think there's something so beautiful and communal about it where we can uplift each other and then cross pollinate. So somebody comes
Yeah.
in for one person's thing and they're like, oh gosh, I hadn't even thought about that. And they get to be turned on to a new artist or creator that they hadn't ever thought about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
really exciting.
so in terms of your wreath making classes, an idea just came to mind. So my son's school does a fundraiser at Christmas time where they do wreaths, but people put together wreaths and then they get raffled off. And they look like a whole bunch of different things. A couple of the grade levels of teachers put together ones that have like lotto tickets and stuff like that on them. Those usually get a lot of fundraising, obviously. But then there's really beautiful ones. I wonder if that would be a cool opportunity to host in that community leading into that, knowing that that's coming so that more people could participate to create them to donate to that fundraiser.
That's an excellent idea. I love it.
Awesome. Cool. So I just made a note to myself and I'll make sure that I send you some contact information so that we can get you set up for this year for that.
Please do. I'm in.
Awesome. And really, selfishly, I want that for myself because I've always wanted to be able to contribute, but I'm like, I don't know.
Exactly. I totally understand. Yeah, it's a great idea. I love it.
Awesome. My art has now started to turn a little bit into the digital arts, but it's always been data as a scientist. So it's
Yeah.
definitely not wreaths. I need a lot of help on that.
Come see me.
So what you're doing right now, is it what you thought you would be doing when you first started the business, or have you had some surprises along the way that kind of led you in different directions?
So many surprises. I really am excited to see what I think of next. I've come up with some pretty good ideas. I really love the wreath bar idea that I've been developing. And a friend of mine and I were just talking about that. You start off thinking about this, and then you just watch it kind of develop over time. The workshops were something I hadn't really considered at first. I really got into making something I like to call Sabu DIY hobby kits, where basically I take excess materials I have from projects and I kind of curate these boxes for people to take home with little wreath bases, ornaments, picks, and sprays. And you can come home, binge watch TV or get your friends together and just make your own little wreaths. You can add things you have, buy other things you want to add. And I'm tying that into my wreath bar. These are all things I wouldn't have thought of the day I sat down and decided what kind of business am I going to make. You can't think of it all. Your mind is full of all these opportunities and ideas, but as you go along, you learn more about that. And then you have even better ideas, and then those spawn other ideas. So a lot of it has been a surprise.
I love that. My favorite part is that it's a very circular economy. Instead of adding to a waste dump somewhere and getting rid of all of those additional pieces that you might not be able to personally use, you're making sure that they still get life somewhere.
Yeah, and then, of course, I can't help myself, and I go and buy things for the kids too.
Of course.
Like, I'm like, "You know what will go with that? I'm going to get on my laptop and order this and that," and then I get excited, and I'm like, "Oh, wait, don't forget you make wreaths and floral designs too," because I get so into that. I'm like, "Don't forget about everything else," but yeah, like you said,
That is
circular.
awesome. I love it. So, what would you say so far has been the hardest part of entrepreneurship?
So I say this with a caveat, I don't have children, but it's like having a baby. It is like having a full-time baby that requires a lot of attention, a lot of care. You are always thinking about it, even when you're not with it, you're thinking about it. And it's a big responsibility, which I kind of figured it would be, but it's obviously the most rewarding thing there is. But yeah, I definitely, without having a baby of my own, I definitely feel like that's how I would describe it. I'm proud of my
Absolutely.
baby. She's beautiful.
Oh, and you should, yes, very, very beautiful. And I'm looking at the piece behind you, by the
Ah,
way,
yeah.
which is
This is
just
my latest opus, my flower cloud. This is my new flower cloud. I'm quite taken by it.
me
Um,
too.
Decided to bring her out here for the podcast, and now I think I like her here.
That's where she
She
will
looks
live.
good here.
She will be our squishy.
There you go.
Um, so what is your favorite part on the flip side?
My favorite part is the autonomy. I really have learned a lot about myself as I've gotten older. And while I love working with people, and I'd like to think I'm a pleasure to have in class, I definitely love the autonomy of it. And I love being in charge, as intimidating as it can be. I love photography. I'm a very frustrated not photographer. And I've been taking workshops and learning a lot about just with your own camera, on your phone. There's a lot you can do. You don't have to go blow a ton of money on photography equipment unless you have the money, in which case go for it. It's so much fun. The artistry in photography and learning about lighting. The biggest thing I learned is that we eat with our eyes.
Mm,
And when you look at things like that from that point of view, and then you look at your social media page, it's, at least for me, it's really inspiring. And I love social media work. I didn't know
awesome.
that, especially before there was such a thing as social media. I mean, I remember MySpace and Friendster and things like that. Look at what we have now. TikTok, I love Instagram, Facebook, everyone's on Facebook. And there's so much you can do. There's so much creativity there that I hadn't realized at first when I first got a Facebook account, when I first got into Instagram and all that. So I'm always inspired, and I love looking at what other people are doing and getting ideas. There's a whole community out there. I've learned from my algorithms, people willing to just share this information with you. And that's so
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
No,
my favorite parts.
we're very lucky to be in this day and age with it, but it also presents its own challenges because
Oh,
we
sure.
can end up shouting into the void with social media as a small business.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get 1,000 views on a video on TikTok without a single bit of engagement, and you're like, "Who did you show this to?"
I think that
But
a lot lately.
yeah, and I guess that's good. At least it's getting out there. But I love
Sure.
your Instagram page. I was
You.
on your Instagram page, and anybody who visits, which you have to, I'll link it in the comments in this video. But you can actually see this bigger picture that you created with multiple posts in a row. That when you zoom out on your page, makes this beautiful picture. And I was like, that is brilliant. I love the idea that like
Oh,
this little tile, it's almost like those little puzzles where you have the little thing that you move. It only one of them is able to move at a time. You
yeah.
were able to zoom out and see that whole picture. I was like, that's cool.
You're the first person to comment on that. Thank you. I had fun with that.
Oh,
I had a lot of fun with that. I wondered if anyone noticed.
yes. I was like, how do I manage to do that?
Who doesn't love puzzles?
That's awesome.
You.
All right. So, side quests. Everybody who owns a small business has a mission in mind with their small business to help make something more beautiful. But there is a side mission for a lot of us in terms of like causes that we'd love to be able to do more to help. Is there one that you'd like to be able to help over time?
Absolutely. I am very passionate about mental health. Um, to age myself, I was born in 1976. I was a bicentennial baby, so I came of age in the 90s. And it was the wild, wild west of mental health. And as a young woman with anxiety, it was just a whole different ball game than it is now. And I love what is happening with mental health and causes and awareness, getting rid of the stigma, seeing people come forward. I love online therapy. I'm very passionate about talking about it. Um, Everyone has something that they're battling. For some people, it is emotional. Some people, it is mental. There are so many avenues now you can take. There's so much awareness about it. And I just want to be a part of that because it's done so much for me. And
Mm.
that's something I'd like to be involved with. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm always going to be very opportunistic. And when I find a way to do something with it, I definitely do that. That's something I would like to do. And of course, animals. I did an event for Whiskas a couple winters ago.
That's awesome.
Love animals, and that's another one. Those are my two biggies.
Awesome. Well, mental health absolutely resonates for me and so many other people. And thinking about, 1976, my husband was born just the following year, and so many of his high school counterparts have really struggled, and there have been a lot of
Yeah.
losses because of mental health struggles, particularly for the Gen X men. I have noticed over the course
Sure.
of they're very, very struggling. And a lot of that is because of the stigma that was around it, and getting help was frowned upon, and, pull yourself
Yeah.
up by the bootstraps, rugged
Oh,
individualism
yeah.
kind of stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good observation. Men in particular had a rough go of it.
Yeah. And I also think that part of it with Gen X was because of the being on the cusp with degrees. Not everybody was encouraged to get one. Now, men in their late 40s, early 50s are bumping into paper ceilings, and they
Right.
don't have degrees, but it's not their fault. They weren't raised in a situation where that was going to be the expectation, and
Right.
it is hurting their ability to support their families. Then they feel like a burden. And it's been a very, very tragic cycle to watch happen for sure.
Yeah, that's a very good observation. And there's a lot of different things out there now. There's a lot more commitment. There's a lot more support for people to support themselves. I'm noticing it more and more. People are saying, nope, this is my boundary. I need to take care of myself. I need to prioritize my mental health. And I'm like, we're going in the right direction, slowly but surely. So, yeah,
Yes, yes. And those boundaries are important as a small business owner too, which is hard because like you said, it
yeah,
is your baby, and you're trying to be there 24/7, but more is not always more. And
right.
that's hard when you're trying to get those sales up, you're trying to get your name out there, and you're putting in all of that time and energy and effort. It can be really challenging to balance out your mental health. So I'm
Oh,
really
yes,
glad that we're talking about this, because I think it's important for small business owners too.
yes.
All right. So if you could change one thing about setting up or running a small business, I give you a magic wand, none of the barriers that exist that, like, oh, you can't do that because you couldn't personally write that law. No, magic wand, you could change anything you want about starting and operating a small business. What would it be?
I would take the magic wand you gave me. Thank you for that. And I would just go like this and I would create more support. When I first set out, I said, well, first I'm going to get some information. And I actually wound up knowing less than I did before I went and researched what it took. If you can imagine that. And I was like, are
Yeah.
you kidding me? And I was very, very lucky. My husband and I are friends with a couple, one who's knowledgeable of law, one who's knowledgeable of tax and finance. And I
Nice.
was really intimidated. I really didn't want to bother them. And they were nothing but supportive and happy to help. They wouldn't let me pay them. They wouldn't even let me give them a wreath for their for their home. But I'm like, everybody needs to have somebody they can sit down and go, hi, I've been reading online and I've been going in circles. I just need to know about this or that. Not everybody's lucky to know somebody. So I
Yeah.
wish that there were, I mean, there are resources out there, but getting to them, I would improve all the traffic to getting support. That's my
Oh,
magic wand wish.
I love it. I love it. And honestly, Main Street e-market. So the reason why I started this was to connect small businesses with each other, because I really do believe that there is power inside of that. And tiny but mighty, in our numbers, we are mighty, and we do make up the vast majority of businesses in the United States. 99.9% of businesses in the United States are small businesses. 33.3 million small businesses in the United States. Obviously, I'm a number gal.
Yes, and you're very good at it.
Thank you. But I mean, we really represent the vast majority of businesses, but we are treated in a way like we have a lot going on, like we are one of those bigger businesses. And I think, bigger businesses have a lot of people, so they can hire a lawyer and a tax
Yeah,
professional, and they can have all of those expertise areas in-house, and they don't have to worry about it. And so the
yeah.
system is not really set up to be able to support easily small businesses. I will say that New York State does a pretty okay job. Did you ever look into the SBDC or SBA resources?
Yes, yes, I did, and that
Okay.
was helpful. That was
Yes.
definitely helpful. But it
But
did,
they
like you said, when you think about it, these big companies have departments And you're like, I don't, I have a phone and a laptop.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And so when you want to start another project, it's also going to be you. And that can be a really big challenge, which is one of the reasons why I started the business too. Because, hey, let me help take a project off your plate is really kind of where I'm at in terms of that focus. Because I know that hiring another person, that's scary for a small business because now you have to think
Yeah,
about the fact that you need enough revenue to keep them employed because you're going
exactly.
to care, because you're going to see them face to face. This isn't, Peloton laying people off over Zoom that they've never even met before, that
Right,
like
right.
completely depersonalized. It's very personal for a small
Yeah,
business. So,
it is. So my magic wand would be you. Deliver you to
oh,
the masses. I'm so glad I found you. The referral to you for the podcast and everything, I've been, digging into your profile and checking out what you offer. I'm like, this is great. And I was actually wondering how you got into it. So you answered my question too.
thank you. I'm so glad.
You're
And
very knowledgeable.
honestly, most of what my mission came from was the fact that where we live, it is urban, suburban, and rural all combined. And people don't like understand what I'm saying when I say it, but when you're from up here, right?
Yes.
Like
Oh, so
you're
much. Yes.
20 minutes away from an urban area in either direction.
Yes.
Um, or you could be in the middle of nowhere and there are lots of cows, which are adorable. And I love cows. But then everything is so spread out that it
Yeah.
makes it really hard to get to all of these amazing small businesses or even know that they exist. And so this podcast really being able to highlight some of these incredible small businesses is definitely a really cool one for me. Selfishly, I get to know where all of them are on the other side too.
Exactly. Win-win.
So, all right. So, if you had somebody sitting in front of you who was looking for help and they were looking for advice, just starting out their own small business, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to them?
Well, I'm going to cheat. It's actually two pieces in one.
Okay.
Number one, and I've talked to some people at events who are in the very beginning stages, like me, but like beginning, and they're very intimidated and they're very nervous. I tell them nobody knows what they're doing in the beginning. In the beginning, nobody comes in and goes, well, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Here's my plan. Here we go. Nobody does that. You are no different than them. In fact, I'm willing to bet, and I stole this from a meme. There's somebody out there with less to offer than you living your dream right now. And they
Yes.
didn't have a list or a scroll of things to do. They jumped in.
Yep.
You should jump in too. That being said, part two, there are people that have learned some things along the way. Hopefully, you learn some things along the way. You gather a skill set, ideas. Maybe you've been doing it a long time and you have some wisdom. Those people are probably more than happy to share with you.
Yeah.
Seek them out when you find them. Don't be scared to ask. Don't be scared to put it out there. Hey, this thing, I don't know what to do. You're not the only one. In fact, somebody else might be like, ooh, following. I want to know too. So they sound like contradictory pieces of information, but no one knows what they're doing. But also, people who do probably have no problem going, hey, you know what I did? You should try that. Or, no, that looks good, but try it this way.
Oh,
So
brilliant advice. I love it. And
thank you.
actually, from the corporate advice standpoint that I had gotten from somebody who was mentoring me when I was in a corporate role, they were talking about networking and networking being most powerful when you ask for help from someone, because
Sure.
people don't want to just always be in your debt, and most people try and go into a networking situation by providing value to the person that they're meeting. But if you allow them to provide you with something instead, they don't feel like they are eternally indebted to you. And it actually makes for a healthier relationship.
Yeah.
So you're providing that advice for that long lasting relationship potentially too with that person because they were able to help you. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. So do you have any employees? No, right?
Nope, it's just me and my mother and husband, who I lovingly call my unpaid interns. Um, they are so supportive. I'm so lucky. I'm so fortunate. All the Saturday mornings, my husband got up with me at like 6 in the morning on his day off and said, all right, I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to get some power bars and water. And we go up to the farmer's market. My mother has been absolutely fantastic. She's retired. I said, you don't have to help. And she goes, no, 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 I want to help. And she gets into it. She's my unofficial PR rep. Um,
Oh,
I always say, hey, I can't pay you, but I'll make you dinner.
that's awesome. That
So
is
other than that, no, it's just me.
okay. Well, where do you see the company going in the next year, 5 years, 10 years? What's your vision for the future?
Well, it's funny because we were just talking about it. I want to get more involved with events, particularly weddings, but it can be showers, birthdays, anything. That is one area I want to be heavily involved in. The other is just really, I'm into getting into people's spaces, not literally, figuratively, just into their spaces. Not just your home. Obviously, your home is your sanctuary, but even your workspace, especially if your workspace is at home. People take their spaces very seriously. It's their private area. It's where they work, think, relax, whatever the case may be. And I just want to see what I can do to help people make it more uniquely theirs. Not just the same old thing. You want something different. You want something custom. You want something bespoke. You want something unique to you. So I want to be more involved with that. And I'm also open to other things. As I've learned in the past few years, you go, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like flower clouds, I got into that after I started my business. I saw a picture and I went, oh my God, I need to know more right now. Tell me more things now. And I looked into them. Obviously, I make sized for your space, your home or workspace, but I want to get into the big cathedral sized ones and get up on a ladder and probably hurt my back just spending hours getting lost in it. I have those kind of visions, but I'm also very open to other things. So
Oh, I
those
love
things and more.
I love that. I actually, if I could take this with me, unfortunately, I'd probably unplug my camera. I would take you into, we have this room in our house that I am so obsessed with. It has these really high ceilings. It's the reason why we bought the house, to be honest with you.
Cool.
Because I was like, I could fit such a big Christmas tree. That's really the only thing I could think of. But it's got a great fireplace. And I feel like putting one of your centerpieces on that mantle next to that fireplace would be brilliant. And actually even like a pink and gray and stuff like that. So I'm going to
Ooh,
send you a picture. We could definitely talk.
I'd love
Um,
to. I'm
but
excited.
I wonder how we could use like Pinterest pictures to be able to take your pieces and insert them into a home so that you could kind of see them in those different
Ooh.
places, like almost with like Photoshop. I have like Movavi has photo editors and stuff like
Oh,
that where you
true.
can
Okay.
kind of to where people can envision them in these different spaces, you know?
Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
I
Cool.
love it. Let's make it happen. Get that wand out.
All right. So, um, what is one thing that you wish everybody knew about running a small business?
um, I actually touched on it before. It's your baby. So if you really want to do this, I mean, we talked about creating boundaries and being, selfish with your time when you need to. But if you know somebody who's running a small business, just give them support. Sometimes they want to vent. Sometimes they want to brag. Sometimes they want to stop talking and they just want to listen. Just be understanding. We're following our dreams. If it were easy, everybody could do it. So, buy us a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or whatever you're into and just be supportive. Understand that if their time seems consumed at times or if they seem like they're not around, they're trying to get something off the ground.
Yeah,
And, tell people about what they're doing, whether it's your relative or your friend. Spread the word. We love it when you share our information with people. We love referrals. We love exposure
absolutely. Well, and
and a needle.
word of mouth is still the most powerful way to advertise a business. There is nothing
Always,
that does it better.
always.
Yeah. What is one simple way that people could support your business without any money?
Follow, like, comment, share.
Yep.
Free of charge. We love it. We thank you. We'll do the same for you.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Free of
Awesome.
charge, and it really helps. I have some friends who have been doing that for me. Friends I haven't talked to since college. I'm like,
Oh,
oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so appreciative. I imagine most people are. We're like humbled. We're like, oh my God, thank you.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
free of charge.
It's funny because when you see like a colleague from a past job pop up or something like that, and they're the ones that are coming into your comments and talking about things that can be even, yeah, the people that you don't see coming are the ones that you're like, oh man, awesome.
It's like an unsolicited compliment. Like, thank you. I had somebody from a previous job show up at one of my workshops. I'm like, oh my God, hi. You
That's
have a
awesome.
baby. How have you been? You look great. And now she's got her own wreath.
Oh, I love that.
And
That
her
is
baby's
awesome.
very cute. And it was nice to see her.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Last question before we get into the special talent. So for those of you that have been waiting, we this is really going to go into a direction here. But
Ooh.
what is the most unique thing that you have ever been asked to do or done for a customer?
The Claire story. I tell this story to anyone who will listen. So I had a project I was working on. I still tinker with this from now and every once in a while, but I got into making angel wing pieces. I would
Ooh.
order angel wings from costumers online. I'd put them on hoop wreaths or I'd put them on poles so you could mount them on the wall. I thought they were very striking. Other people did as well. I was at a farmer's market and a very interesting gentleman would walk by and strike up a conversation. He figured out that my husband was a musician, so he wanted to talk about the Stones and guitar and stuff with him. And he would come back every once in a while, and he was very taken by my angel wing pieces. And he wanted to know about where they came from, and he would come and talk to me about his friend who liked collecting angel wings, liked collecting anything with feathers. And I was like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, that sounds interesting." And he's like, "I bet she would like that one." And he pointed to one I named Claire. I'm very influenced by the music of Grimes, and her real name is Claire, so I named it Claire. And he came back and he said, "I'm going to buy that for my friend." And I'm like, "Oh, wonderful. I hope she likes it. Thank you so much. Here's a card." Came back a week after that and he said, "Yeah, I ripped the wings right off and sent them to her." Yeah, I made that face. I'm like, um, oh, okay. You just, I didn't make the feathers, right? Like I didn't factory construct the wings. So that's not, he's like, "Nope, it's fine." And he's telling me about how he took the wings off and mailed them to her separately. And I'm like, So I went
Wow.
home and for weeks I hadn't seen this guy. And I'd go to my husband just randomly out of the blue, on and off. "What do you think he did to Claire? What's become of Claire?" And he's like, "Babe, once you sell your work, it's out there in the world. It's not yours anymore." I'm like, "I know, but poor Claire." And then later I found out he removed the wings, sent them to her. He kept saying, "I kept the assemblage." And I didn't know what that meant. He kept the wreath for himself, like it was a hoop wreath with a floral
Oh,
arrangement at the bottom. And he popped the wings off and mailed them to her. That to this day still cracks me up. I just walked around. I had no idea I was that emotionally attached to my work where I'm like, "Claire, why did he do that to Claire?" I could have given him a referral to where I got the wings from. So that was very interesting. That was unique. That was very unique. I'm glad they were both happy with the wings and the assemblage. But
yeah. That I mean, it's almost like a morbid thought that like rip the wings off just does not compute to me as
I had like a visceral reaction, but I was trying to play it cool, like, "Oh, okay." It was like 90 degrees out. I'm like, "Mhm.
oh my
You did
gosh.
what now? Okay, fun, fun."
Oh my goodness. Wow. All right. So now for the big reveal. What
Okay,
is this secret hidden ability that you have? I'm going to try and pronounce it, but I'm probably going to do a bad job.
me too.
Grapheme color synesthesia?
Yes, you did a much better job than me. I can't pronounce synesthesia. That's the
Ah.
closest I've gotten to it. So I didn't know that's what it was called. When I
Okay.
when I was a teenager, I was talking to a counselor and I casually mentioned because I have a very complicated relationship with numbers and math. And we were talking about that, and I made a vague reference to um, my mom had colored refrigerator magnets when I was a little girl, and all the numbers and all the letters, so I could learn my alphabet, my numbers. They were all colored. And I said, "I guess that's why I just have a color for every number." And she stopped and looked at me, and I went, "What?" And she went, That's actually like a really rare thing. And I went, magnets? And she went, no, having a color assigned to each number. And people think it's from refrigerator magnets, but it's not. And I'm like, I thought that was, you don't know something about you is weird. You're just being yourself. You don't
Right.
know that it's a thing until somebody goes, that's a thing. And you're like, I thought everyone did that." She said,
Yeah.
"No, it's a very small percentage of the population. They, whoever they are, have done studies."
Right.
And I'm like, "Oh, do you want me to be part of a study?" She went, "No." I went, "Oh, okay." Didn't think about it again until I met somebody when I want to say 2018-ish, who like was a psychologist who went, "Oh my God," and talked to me about it for hours and hours. And then I finally looked it back up, and that's what it's called. Basically, I see colors for each number.
Wow.
I also do it with letters, but specifically with numbers. Again, I thought everybody thought 8 was green. I thought everybody thought 3 was orange. And when I was reading this, they talked about the refrigerator magnet thing. And then it got to this point where you probably have it if you hear somebody say 5 is pink and you think it's wrong. And I had like a reaction to that. I went, 5 isn't pink, 5 is brown. And then it goes
Wow.
on to describe 2 people having an argument, this article. If I find it, I'll send it to you. "No, no, no, it's," and they had a whole purple. I'm like, "No, 7's purple." And I'm, like, having an argument in my head reading about this art, and I went, "Oh my gosh." I don't know why I do it. I don't know if the magnets had anything to do with it, but even numbers are cool colors. Odd numbers are not. And when you get into letters, this is so funny talking about it. Even numbers, there are even letters. I don't know
Okay.
why I do this. I know there are different forms of this. Some people smell tacos when they look at a picture of something that
Yep.
is not a taco. So, yeah, I did not know I had that. But to me, it makes perfect sense. Well, yeah, 4 is blue and blue plus blue is green. And people are like, no, 4 is orange. And I'm like, ew, no, it's not.
Okay, so this is even cooler. So your assignment of color, and not that you intentionally assigned it. I'm saying like the way that they're linked up to each
Yeah,
other is different than somebody else who also has it, is what you're saying. So like
yes,
somebody, yeah, got it. And this is that conversation wasn't between somebody who doesn't have it like me and somebody who does, because that would be like, "Ugh, why are you fighting about it? You don't even see it, right?" You're just
with
making
2
an
people who
arbitrarily
have it. Yeah,
right.
arguing
Okay.
about the colors. And I was arguing with them in my head because they're wrong.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously, like,
They're
okay.
not,
So
but
this is super cool, and I have so many different questions. But
sure.
interestingly, I was in first grade, and I was sitting, and the same things that we're talking about up on the wall. They had like blue, and it was the word, and it was written in blue and stuff like that, and then red and whatever. And I remember sitting there one day, and I probably should have been paying attention to the math that they were teaching, but I already understood it, so I was like zoned in. And I was like, wait, the color blue that I see, how do I know that my blue looks the same as the other person's blue? How do I know that somebody else looking at that thing
Yeah,
sees it exactly the same way that I do?
right.
And come to find all these years later, after the biochemistry degree, all of the research that they've done inside of all of these things, it's not. It is just simply not, because we cannot perceive color exactly the same as the person next to us, because the biology of our eyes and the physiology of the rods and cones in the back of our
Right.
eyes is simply variable between people. And I have a friend who has heterochromia, who actually can see more nuance in color than other people can. And he had worked in like a coloration lab where he was doing some paint colors and then also makeup colors on the other side of that. And it's literally the perfect job for him, because he can see nuance that other people are not capable of. And I was like, well,
Wow.
this makes perfect sense. And then you think about people who have different rods and cones that make it to where they're colorblind, they would not have seen that. But I'm in first grade, obviously a born philosopher, because I'm like, I wonder, like, and
That
everybody else
is
is like, gosh, we got to pay attention to this math. And I'm over here pondering the mysteries of color.
very perceptive child. Yeah, no, I definitely think that would be the perfect vocation for somebody with that type of where they can see the nuances. And that's fascinating when you think about, like you said, the rods and cones in the eyes. And what you perceive and the person next to you perceive are not identical.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
wonder how you could use this skill of yours to be able to infuse it into your art. So the first thing that I thought of, like my husband's first initial is B, mine is E. What 2 colors would those have been for our wedding colors?
So for B and E, I would have done blue and white,
Interesting, interesting.
or maybe blue and like cocoa.
Okay, very interesting. All right. So I mean this could be something that like could infuse into your work is what I was initially thinking of like,
Okay.
when you're naming them, is there any way to take all of those colors that you just put together and find a way to name them based upon the letters that are associated with those colors or something?
I love this. I could pick your brain all day, whether you want me to or not. That's fascinating. I would love to develop this idea more.
Because I mean, gosh, think about sharing that on social media where you could be like, "Hey, tell me a letter and I will make something out of that like color base or something," and really getting that engagement going.
Wow, I'm going to call it the Erica Project. Name it after you. That's fascinating. I'm definitely going to explore that.
Oh, that would be so much fun because on
I know.
TikTok early on in the pandemic, I remember seeing people who had synesthesia where they would see people's names and they would make what they envisioned. So like it was almost like a dot picture, but it had multiple different colors. So you would see like, oh, well, Hannah, if Hannah has the H at the end and 2 N's, it looks like this. But if it only has 1 N and no H at the end, it looks like this. And they were like really trying to like visually show people what they saw in their head when they heard that name.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, definitely, like, dive into
Yeah.
TikTok on some of those things for inspiration on
I'm
it
going to do
because
that as soon as we're done. I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued. I am excited to just check that out. On a completely side note, when I was into writing, I wanted to name cosmetic colors. Because I don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever looked through the names of different cosmetic blushes and eyeshadows and lipsticks, but I mean, you could just have so much fun. Like, what shade is that? Irony. Just like joy, But yeah, thank you. I will credit you if I develop that into something.
Oh, thank you
The
so much. But
Erica effect.
that is such a cool thing. And so when you said that you had challenges with numbers, is it because you weren't really seeing them inside of the way that they related to one another the way that everybody else did because it showed up as colors and then translating that back, it basically was like you were thinking in a different language, right?
Again, hindsight is always clearer. Now I understand that. At the time, I just thought I was stupid. You know,
Oh,
oh, I'm just not good at math. And there was that whole stereotype: girls aren't good at math. I was very good at P and Q tables. When I got into P and Q tables, I like got math. I mean, I can
nice.
make change and things like that, but that's where I was like, I'm good at a thing. There's a math thing I can do, which I've learned. While most people say they don't use P and Q tables in their day-to-day life, I guess programmers do.
Yes.
Never got into programming, but I'm like, hey, I understand their language, sort of, kind of.
No, that's
Yeah,
awesome. And honestly, when you get to a point where you're feeling like dejected about something, when you do find a little sliver of it that you can hold on to and be like, nope, I can't understand it. It just needs to be this way or this part of it. And
right.
then it's kind of cool that most people don't really understand that one. So you get the harder part.
I sure do. Yeah, definitely do. But I give credit to teachers who are patient. But what are the odds you get a teacher who goes, this child looks at numbers this way, so I'm going to take all of my lessons plans that I do with 90% of the other population and just twist it around for this one. It's hard. Yeah.
It
So
is.
I give
It
credit to
is.
the people that were patient with me, and yeah, to the people that were like frustrated with me and thought I was dumb.
Yeah, seriously, because obviously you just have a special capacity for these numbers in a completely different way. You have a different relationship with them.
Yes, I have a very different relationship with them. So I just have to look at things in a different way. And they also said, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket when you grow up. And I do. So the world's
Jokes
my
on them.
oyster.
Yeah, and it's funny because as a former science educator, I used to have conversations with my colleagues all the time, and they would talk about the fact that having a cell phone in your pocket and the computer at your fingertips was actually detrimental to students' ability to learn. And I always disagreed with it, and I still disagree with it to this day, because if there is something that's look upable, why should you memorize it? What is the purpose of memorization when you could
Yeah,
be taking that time that you otherwise would have wasted on memorization and use it for critical thinking of attaching things together that hadn't been put together in a novel way to be able to move the industry forward? It's
sure.
silly that, well, oh, well, you have to memorize the periodic table. Listen, you work with it enough, you're going to end up remembering that certain things are in certain places and what their numbers are and stuff like that, and the ways that they combine. But if you can look it up, it's so silly. And so I love that. Yeah, we have the power of all of this at our fingertips, whether we use it the right way or not, and whether we're really using good resources when we are researching, that is debatable and dependent on the person. But,
Of course,
you know,
of course.
for sure, the calculator piece, yeah, it's silly. And most of our tills at our, the commerce places, why am I spazzing? Retail. And I called it a till like I'm 80 years old.
And I know exactly what you were
Most
talking about.
most of the registers are completely automated too, and you're going to
Yeah,
put in how much people gave you. It'll automatically determine the change for you. And certainly there's places where that doesn't exist, and that can be challenging, but
yeah,
we do have a calculator, and that's why God made a calculator, man.
exactly. And shout out to point of sales software and services that help you generate reports. Oh my God,
Yes.
my brain does not work that way. And that was something I was so scared about when I got into this. I'm like, I'm really not the best bookkeeper. I'm like, here, start my orange for me kind of approach to it. And that it's great. There are a lot of resources out there. That's another thing I'd tell somebody. Don't be scared. There's an app for that. There's a resource for that.
Totally.
Hopefully a person too.
Yes, totally. And I think the hardest part about those resources that a lot of them are behind paywalls. And so,
Yeah.
the death by a thousand paper cuts that the average everyday American consumer already is going through with all of their individual subscription services is only magnified when you own a small business, because now you're paying for the business pricing even though you're a single person.
I know. Isn't that
Yep.
crazy? I think about that too. I'm like a business of one.
Yes. Well,
Sure.
and the vast majority, 80% of small businesses in the United States are single person businesses.
Really?
80%.
Wow. I did not know it was that high of a percentage. Cool.
Yep.
Oh, us. Look at us.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything that I have not asked you that you would hope that I would ask you so that we could discuss it?
Um, you had made a reference to what was the final straw that
Oh,
pushed you
yes,
into
yes,
your
yes,
business.
yes. Well, last straw. Yeah.
I got to talk about my grandpa. God bless him. God rest his soul. During the pandemic, I was taking care of my grandfather with my mom in his 90s who wanted to stay at home. He was in the very beginning of congestive heart failure, and we did everything we could to keep him safe during the pandemic. He was an entrepreneur. I'm not sure if you're familiar with good old Drake's Cakes.
Yes.
Oh my, so nutritious. Anyways, Drake's Cakes, he was a Drake's Cakes delivery man. He started out with Coca-Cola and then he got into Drake's Cakes. He raised my mom and my aunt, kept his family going on having his own route. He had a route truck. He was an avid bookkeeper. He had like a Mensa mind when it came to book. I did not inherit this from him. Mensa mind when it came to bookkeeping. He turned bookkeeping into an art. Never finished even middle school. I think he got up to sixth grade and said, nah, and went into business for himself. He also went into the Navy. That's another story. So, being in my 20s and 30s, kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, he'd always go, you should just work for yourself. And I'm like, doing what? I fantasized about being a rock star. That was the other thing I wanted to do when I was 7. I can't play a musical instrument. I don't know, like, doing what? He goes, you'll figure it out. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Okay. I'd love to work for myself. I don't know how, I don't know what. This was before social media, before things became more attainable. And over time, I got into, I found a trade I liked to do, aesthetics, and he was very, very proud of me. And he kept saying, you should work for yourself. And I'm like, I don't know, Grandpa. I don't think I can run a spa. That's the spa you think relax. You don't realize how stressful it is to run. It is the opposite. No one needs a spa service like a spa. employee. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. And he's like, you'll figure it out. And I was able to tell him right before he passed away in 2021 that I was getting into something. And I just, he was the impetus. He was the person that propelled me, even when I didn't believe I could do it. He always believed I could do it, even though I didn't know what the what was. And one of the last things he said to me was, "You're going to be something great someday."
Oh,
Oh, and that meant so much to me. But he was the person. And if you ever want to know what's important to you, this is where it's going to get a little depressing. Sorry, everybody. Listen to somebody when they're passing away, when they're in those final stages. If they're talking, pay attention. If
yeah,
you're on the fence about doing the big thing, think about what you will think about on your deathbed. I know it's morbid,
yeah.
but listen to them, pay attention. And nobody lies on their deathbed and says, I should have worked more. I should have held more meetings.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have enjoyed myself. I shouldn't have had, no one says that. You might hear somebody say, oh, I should have taken better care of myself. It wouldn't have happened this way. But people, when they reflect and they think about things, that's what they think about. And my grandfather was able to pass away exactly how he wanted in his home that he built. Very happy with his life. Was he a very big, rich man? Was he a powerful man? No, he was a happy man because he owned his own life. He curated his own life. That was my final straw. And I hope people think about that. Like, think about, do you want to lay on your bed and think about all your memories be of just, a job you didn't like, or being scared to do something, or never really living? These are the things that like pushed me to go forward.
Oh, I love that.
That's
I
it.
honestly, it's so beautiful.
Didn't mean to get all like morbid and sad, but yes,
No, it's
everything
not.
everything I do is with my grandfather's spirit in mind, and I'm turning into him. Like, the
Oh,
older I get, I'm like, "Oh my god, it's grandpa." I go into doctor's offices for checkups, and I, like, joke around with the nurses and, like, as a way of keeping myself calm because I get nervous. I'm like a cat at the vet when I go to the
oh.
doctor. I do that, and I'm like, "That's why he did that," and, things that would stress people out, he would make jokes. I do that. I'm like, "Oh my god, I am him." So it's pretty inspiring and weird. DNA is weird.
It is, it is. It is, but it's so beautiful to think about, and it's important for us to keep in mind because, yeah, you're right. Nobody has ever said we should have had more meetings. And after years in corporate, honestly, no, blah, blah, blah. When you have a meeting about a meeting about a meeting, you know that you are in trouble because you're just there's too much preparation, trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page before you walk in the door. And it basically ends up being like a marketing campaign 24/7. It's so stressful. And
Sure.
the idea that your legacy, that's really it, right? Like,
Legacy, that's a good way to put it.
yeah, he curated his life, but he was with you guys and he had enough of a presence even though he owned his business. And so that's really what we're looking for, that balance. And no, most small businesses are not going to be rich. As a matter of fact, the average small business owner makes just about 16% more than the average American worker across the board in the United States, as compared to any of the big corporations and their CEOs making hundreds and even thousands times more than the average American worker. We are going to have modest means as CEOs of our own company, but the balance that you get inside of that is the time, is
Oh
the
gosh,
curation of your reality.
absolutely. I mean, I'm only in the beginning, and I am so happy. Even though you may measure success one way, I measure it this way. And like I said, who knows what'll come of it, but something will come of it. And
Yeah,
I get to curate my own life, which is like
that's
the greatest
amazing.
thing.
Yeah, and it's gonna be beautiful while you're doing it because of all of these
Exactly.
amazing creations.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you. Thank you so much. You are an unbelievable wealth of information. Like, I've
thank
learned
you.
so much in just what, the 54 minutes we've been chit-chatting. And I've been like going through your profile on Insta, on Facebook, on TikTok, and I'm like, huh. And I just start scrolling and I forget what I'm doing. I'm like, that's a good idea. You are awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you share with us. And I'm gonna keep
Oh,
sharing your stuff so other people can check you out and get tips and maybe even use some of your services.
oh, I
I think they're
really
so
appreciate
valuable.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much for all of this on this conversation. I can't wait for everybody to dig into all of this and to find out what you're going to do with all of those ideas in terms of things going forward. And we'll definitely be circling back and having more conversation. But thank you so much for your time and energy.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. This has been fantastic.
Absolutely. All right. Take care. I will talk to you soon.
You betcha. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you guys so much for joining me on another episode of the Tiny But Mighty podcast. This is definitely one of my favorite episodes so far. So much fun. Every single one of these episodes has been so much fun. So you need to watch all of the rest of them too. Definitely get into it and binge all of the other ones that are there. Make sure that you are subscribed. Hit some of the buttons. Let me know what your favorite part was in the comments too, please. I'd love to know if you have any other ideas because this is such a creative outlet. We can definitely share those with Sara, and I'll put all of her socials in the comments. Make sure that you are following along her channels too so that you can see everything as it's coming up. Thank you so much. And remember, always shop small. Take care, y'all.